How's it going, everybody? It's your bro here. Hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to teach you guys how we can make a simple encryption program using Java. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you find this video helpful, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support will help keep this channel running. So more specifically for this video, we're going to be discussing OTP encryption, which is an acronym for one-time pad. So here's the definition for it. I basically just stole this from Wikipedia. So OTP encryption is an encryption technique that cannot be cracked, but requires the use of a one-time pre-shared key, the same size as or longer than the message being sent. And in this technique, plain text, also known as the message that you want to encrypt, is paired with a random secret key, also referred to as a one-time pad. So basically what we're going to be doing with our message is replacing each letter in our message, our plain text, and substitute it with a random one from a key that we're going to generate. Here's some context before we begin. So for this encryption program, we're going to be utilizing the ASCII table. ASCII is an acronym for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So with each of these characters on the ASCII table, there's an associated integer value, and a lot of these keys you can actually find on your keyboard. So there's a range between 0 and 31, which we are not going to use for this encryption program because these characters are kind of special. So we're going to be utilizing all of the keys, all of the characters from this ASCII table from the ranges of 32 to 126. So we're only going to be using these characters for this encryption program. That is the scope that we'll be using. All right, everybody. So here I am within my main class. So we'll create another class within the same project folder. So I'm going to go to File, New, Class, and I'll just call this encryption program and click Finish. It really doesn't matter what you call it. I want to create an instance of this class, so I'm just going to copy the name of this class, go back to my main method, and we're going to instantiate an instance of this class. So we type in the name of the class, encryption program, and I'm just going to call this instance EP for short, encryption program, equals new encryption program. And that is it for our main method. We're going to handle everything else within our encryption program class. Let's begin by creating the necessary framework. So let's declare all of the methods that we'll need first. So we'll begin with the constructor for this class, and the constructor has the same name as the class name. So we type in encryption program, a set of parentheses, and then a set of curly braces. Next, let's declare all of the methods that we'll need, and we should begin with a method called askQuestion. We're going to ask the user what they want to do. As in, do you want to generate a new key, get the current key, encrypt a message, decrypt a message, or do you want to quit the program? But I'm thinking we'll make this a private method, private void ask question. Since we're dealing with some level of security, we probably want all of the members of this class to be private. I usually make everything public just for educational purposes and convenience, but if you're dealing with some level of security, you probably want to make the members of this private. So we have a private method called askQuestion. So let's create a few other methods, and these will also be private. So private void new key. Then we'll create a method to retrieve what the current key is. So private void get key. And then private void encrypt. So this will encrypt plain text as ciphertext, aka the secret message. And then private void decrypt. So this will take ciphertext and then convert it to plain text. It will take a secret message and convert it to something you can understand. And then a method to exit this program. So private void, how about quit? That should be good. Okay, here are all of the methods that we'll need. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I already lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The constructor, encryption program, ask question, new key to generate a new key, get key to actually retrieve the key, encrypt to encrypt a message, decrypt to decrypt a message, and quit to exit the program. So before the constructor, let's declare all of the global variables and objects that we'll need. So we're only going to declare these, not yet initialize them. So we're going to make these private as well since we're dealing with security. So let's begin with a scanner. So private, scanner, scanner. We're only going to declare it, not yet initialize it. And then we'll need an import as well because I'm forgetting that. So it looks like we'll need to import java.util and everything related to this, and that should be good. Okay, so let's finish declaring everything. So private, random, and we'll call this random. And then we'll need an array list of characters. So private array list, and this will hold character objects, and we'll just call this list. We'll need another array list of character objects, and we'll call this shuffled list. And I'm just going to change the spelling on this. Private char, and this will be named character. So this is going to be the starting position of the characters that we're using. Private string line. Private, we'll need an array of characters, and we'll call this letters. And then private array of characters, so char, straight braces, and we'll call this secret letters. All right, now let's finish initializing everything within our constructor. So I'm just going to copy everything here, and we're going to get rid of most of these words. So I'm going to take out most of these, except for the name of each of these. All right, so let's finish initializing the scanner. So scanner equals new scanner system.in. Then for our instance of the random class, random equals new random. Then our list, our array list, equals new array list. And then same thing for our shuffled list. Then our character will equal just a space. And then make sure you use single quotes. Why do we have a problem at shuffled list? Oh, because I forgot equals. Duh. All right. Then we don't need to initialize these. We will later on in the program. All right. So after we initialize everything within our constructor for this class, let's begin by automatically generating a new key for the user. So we're just going to call this method new key, and we'll fill in this method later. And then let's ask a question. Ask the user, what do you want to do? So we'll call the ask question method next. And that is it for our constructor. So let's move on to our ask question method. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to create a while loop, and we're going to set the while loop to true. So this will consistently prompt the user to type in an answer that is valid. And if they were to type in Q, for example, we'll call the quit program method to exit the program. So while true, this will basically just continue on forever. We'll consistently ask a question. What do you want to do? So system.out.println, what do you want to do? And then on the next line, let's give them some instructions. So system.out.println, let's begin with N for new key. Otherwise, G for get key. E for encrypt. D for decrypt. And Q for quit. Then I'm just going to do a little bit of formatting. So I'm just going to add a bunch of asterisks before this just to kind of break up everything. All right, so let's get the response using our scanner. So our response, actually we'll need to initialize this here. So character response equals, and this might be a little difficult to follow. So if they type in an instruction such as get key, we want to check to see if the first letter of what they type in is a G. And if it's lowercase, we'll need to turn it to uppercase G. So let's begin by using character.to uppercase. Then within the parentheses of this, what we'll type in here is scanner dot next line. All right, so this will read the entire line, and then we just want to extract the first character of the line that they type in. So we're going to use some method chaining by adding dot char at index 0. So we're going to take the first letter of their response, whatever they type in, and we're going to turn it to its uppercase version and store it within our response variable. All right, then let's create a switch that will read the response character, whatever is stored within here, and look for any matches. So switch response, then if our case is capital N, we're going to call the new key method and then break out of this switch. So then if case is G, we're going to call the get key method. So get key. If our case is E for encrypt, we'll call the encrypt method. If it's D for decrypt, we'll call the decrypt message or decrypt method. So decrypt method, and then Q for quit. And then we should probably have a default case, just in case they type in something that's not correct. So default system.out.println, not a valid answer. Okay, so it looks like that's everything for our ask question method. Before we move on, we should probably just test this at least once. So it's asking us, what do you want to do? Type in N for new key, G for get key, E for encrypt, D for decrypt, or Q to quit. Let's say that we want to create a new key, so we need to type in either lowercase n or uppercase n, or basically anything that starts with the letter N, and this will basically read our response as new key. So this would actually even work too. However, once we hit enter, there's not actually like a method body to this. It doesn't actually do anything. So it's just going to head back to our ask question method. However, if we type in something that is not valid, like the word pizza, it's going to use our default case and just say not a valid answer. So we know that this is working at least. So let's move on to our new key method and fill in the body for this. Now, beginning with the new key method, let's assign our character variable as just an empty space. So it's kind of like we're resetting it because this is going to change. And then we're going to take our list and clear it if it's already full, basically. However, if there's nothing in it to begin with, it probably won't do anything. So this is every time we want to generate a new key. It's going to basically get rid of the old key. We're going to take our shuffled list and clear this as well. All right. Now, with this character, there is a corresponding integer value to each character, and they're kind of associated with that ASCII table that we were talking about before. So actually, if we were to add a number to this, this would give us the next letter or next character in that ASCII table. So what we can do is actually add numbers or increment our character if we want to retrieve the next character from that ASCII table. So we can easily do this with a for loop. So for int I for index, and we'll actually begin this with 32 because this empty space character, the ASCII value is 32. So int I equals 32, and we'll continue I as long as I is less than 127, and then we'll increment our counter by 1. So what we're going to do within this for loop is that we're going to take our list and add the character value of our character. And then lastly, we're going to increment our character by 1 after each iteration of this for loop. So then what happens is that in our array list called list, we're going to have at least most of the members of the ASCII table, at least the ones that we can type in normally. So then let's finish initializing our shuffled list. Shuffled list, and we're going to create a copy from our list. So shuffled list equals new array list. And then to make a copy of a list, we just type in our list name and pass this into the parameter. But I misspelled shuffled. Okay, so we're just going to pass in our previous array list to the constructor of our array list when we initialize it. And that's how you make a copy of an array list. And then if we want to shuffle this shuffled list, this collection, there's actually a method to do so. We type in collections.shuffle, and then we're going to pass in our shuffled list. So this will have its own algorithm to actually mix this up to randomize it. So it's as if it's shuffled. And then let's create a prompt to let the user know that a new key has been generated. So that is everything for our new key method. So let's run this once just to test it. So what do you want to do? Let's say that we want to create a new key. It doesn't matter what I type in as long as it starts with an N. So new key, please. A new key has been generated. That's fine and dandy and all, but what if we want to display this key and actually see what each of these letters in our list actually corresponds to compared to our shuffled list? So we should work on the getKey method next. So writing this method won't be too bad. So let's just system.out.println the word key, and then a colon, then a space maybe. And let's use a for each loop for each character X in our list. What we'll do during each iteration is just system.out.print, not print line, whatever the character is. And then let's go down to the next line, so system.out.println, and let's do the same thing for our shuffled list. So every character, we can reuse X, character X, in shuffled list, we will display X. And then maybe just do another print line. All right, let's try this. So what do you want to do? I want to get key. I want to call the get key method, and it doesn't matter what I type in as long as the first character starts with the letter G. So I'm just going to say get key, then hit enter. All right, so here is our key. It's a little intimidating to look at, but let's break it down. So this first row is our array list called list. It has all of the characters from that ASCII table that we saw before, starting with the space character because we stated that we want our character to begin with the empty space character. And each of these characters has an associated integer value to these. So the space character the associated value is 32. That's why we began our index at 32. And the squiggly line, I actually forgot the name of this just now, has a corresponding integer value of 126. That's why we stopped at 127. So actually, if you were to increment or add a number to a character, you'll actually end up with a new character. So that's why we incremented our character by 1 after each iteration, is because even though this is a character, you can actually edit these or change that character by adding a certain value to it, because there is an associated value with characters, basically. Now, with this shuffled list, what we did is that we took all of these characters from our list, made a copy of them, and then shuffled them. So when we call the encrypt method, what we're going to do is ask the user for a message that they want to encrypt. We're going to break down that string that they type in into individual characters. Let's say that somebody types in hello world with a capital H to begin with. So we're going to find the first character within our list of that message that the user types in. So if they type in hello world with a capital H, we will find where H is. And at this same index within our shuffled list, we're going to replace the capital H with 0 for this case. Then the next letter in hello world is lowercase e. So then we're going to replace E with capital J. So with an encrypted message, there's an associated key. And to be able to decrypt that encrypted message, we actually need to use the key. And if we were to lose that key or create a new key and get rid of this old one, we can no longer normally decrypt that message. So it's important that we have the key as well as the message that is encrypted to be able to decrypt it. So if I were to get a new key, so I'm just going to type in N for new key, and then type in G for get key, we actually have a whole nother key, and each of these characters now corresponds with a different character at the same index. So let's take a look and compare these. This old key that we had began with T\Z, and this new key has capital Z, ampersand, and then a dot. So when you generate a new key, it's going to reshuffle the letters from the normal array list into something that is new. So if you were to encrypt a message with a certain key, and then you got rid of that key, you would no longer be able to decrypt that message. So it's important that you have the encrypted message and the corresponding key to be able to decrypt that message. So now that we kind of know how this works, let's fill in the body for the encrypt method. So let's display a message that will ask the user to enter a message to be encrypted. And then we will create a local variable that's a string called string message equals scanner.nextLine. So there's actually a method that we can use to break up a string into an array of characters, and we're going to store this within our array of characters called letters. Oh, by the way, I actually got rid of that array of characters called secret letters. We'll actually no longer need that now that I'm taking another look at this. So we'll take our array of characters called letters equals our message, and we'll use the toChar_array method. So now what we'll do is create a for loop to iterate through each character in our array of characters called letters. So for int I equals 0, that's the first index, and we'll continue this as long as I is less than the length of our character array letters, and then increment I by 1 each time. So we're going to create a nested for loop, so I'm going to copy this, paste it within, and let's change I to j for everything within the inner loop. So this for loop, we're going to be looking through our list to see if there's a matching letter to our current letter that we're looking at within our array. So for int j equals 0, we're going to continue this until we reach the size of our list. So list.size method. So we're going to search for a matching letter. Let's say somebody types in hello world with a capital H. We're going to one by one search this array list until we have a match. And then if there is a match, we're going to retrieve the corresponding letter at the same index in our shuffled list. So if letters at our index of I is equal to our list, we'll get the character at index j. And then what we'll do is take that letter and replace it. So letters at index I equals shuffled list get at index j. And then we can just break out of this loop here. All right, so let's try this now. Oh, and we should probably display what the encrypted message is. Almost forgot about that. So system.out.println encrypted, and then we'll create a simple for each loop to iterate through each letter in this array of characters. So for char, and we'll use the index of maybe x in letters, what we'll do is just system.out.print, not print line, whatever x is, and then maybe just add a space afterwards with a print line statement. Okay, so let's run this. We can now encrypt a message, but not yet decrypt it. So let's get the current key, just so we know what we're dealing with. So if we type in hello world, this encrypted message is going to begin with a capital D, so let's test out that theory. So let's encrypt a message. Enter a message to be encrypted, so I'm going to type in hello world. And here is our encrypted message. So it begins with the letter capital D, so we know that it's working then. So now we actually need to decrypt this. So it's a similar process to our encrypt method. What we're going to do for this decrypt message is actually copy everything from the encrypt message, but there's a few things we have to edit. So I'm just going to copy everything from the encrypt method, paste it within the decrypt method, and we will change enter a message to be decrypted. We'll keep this the same with this, and then we're going to change within the inner for loop list to shuffled list. It's kind of like we're reversing the process. So if letters is equal to shuffled list, we're going to assign list at index j to our letters, our array of characters, letters. And then we will type in the message or display the message decrypted, and that's it. Let's try it again. So what do you want to do? I want to encrypt. Enter a message to be encrypted. Hello world. So here is our encrypted message. Now we can type in decrypted to decrypt something. Enter a message to be decrypted. So I just copied this. I'm going to paste it, hit enter, and here is our decrypted message, hello world. Now, one thing you can do, if we were to decrypt this message again, and I make like one change, let's change the last letter to a different character. So this is actually going to alter how this is decrypted. So now it says when it's decrypted, hello world 1 instead of the exclamation point that we had here before. So remember, if you make any changes to a message that's already encrypted, when you decrypt it, you're actually going to end up with a different message. So for this example, we only changed the last character. So when we encrypted hello world, that ended with an exclamation point, and changed the last character in the encrypted message, we actually ended up with hello world 1 for this case. So that's just something to keep in mind. So now all that we have left is to fill in the quit method, and this will only take a moment. So let's display a goodbye message. So let's display within a print line statement, thank you. Have a nice day, bro. And then to exit a program, all you need to do is system.exit and then within the parentheses, type in 0, and that's it. So let's run this program one last time. So a new key has been generated. Let's take a look at this key. So I'm going to type in get key, or anything really that starts with the letter G. So here's the key. You know what? I want a different key because this key is ugly. So I'm going to type in new key, or anything that starts with N really. Okay, a new key has been generated. Let's get this key. This one is much better, much more aesthetic. So let's encrypt a message with this key. So I'm going to type in encrypt, enter a message to be encrypted. Bro says to subscribe or else. Okay, here's the encrypted message. Let's decrypt it by typing in the decrypt command. Decrypt, enter a message to be decrypted. I'm just going to paste the encrypted message that we have. Hit enter, and here is our decrypted message. Bro says to subscribe or else. But you know what? This program's kind of lame, so I'm going to quit by typing in quit. Thank you, have a nice day, bro. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of this program. If you would like a copy of all this code, I'll post all of this in the comments down below. But yeah, that's how you can make a simple encryption program using Java. Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. If you learned something new, then you can help me help you in 3 easy steps by smashing that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro.